welcome back to another video of mine, this time with Season 1, Episode 2 of Chasing You 2. I had to, like last episode, ended on a strong note actually. We actually saw the man that died in our arms sit up and talk. I have to know how it is possible that he's alive. What will the dead man who said goodbye to life in your arms tell you? And to whom can you entrust your little secret? I want to know her secret. Episode 2. Carriage to the Future. Okay. This episode contains scenes of disrespectful treatment of the dead. Okay. The same night, the coroner's office. People react to fear very differently. Some start screaming, running, and crying. Some get angry and start fighting, some freeze. And then you have Agatha. That was hilarious. I'm sorry, that was hilarious. A lot of people, they just start screaming, they start crying, they start fighting, and she's like talking to him normally. I am weak. Nice to see you're in a good health, Mr. Willis, people. I am about to die. Huh? The dead man froze in confusion, then shuddered and fell to one side. You started thinking frantically about which prayer would have been best for that situation, when suddenly a shadow behind Mr. Willis stepped toward you. Alexander! Do I hit you now or later?
Good afternoon, Lady Harrington. You're surprisingly polite to old Mr. Willis, but I'm afraid he's unable to appreciate it anymore.
It took you a few moments to adjust to the new reality before you whispered in a level voice. There is a chance I might hit you with something heavy right now, Your Highness. Would that be considered murder? Ooh!
If I die, most likely, yes.
You have no evidence.
And may I ask why you would do such a thing?
Because you scared me within an inch of my life and I want revenge. Alexander pondered, casually adjusting the sheet that had slipped off Mr. Willis' body.
Fair enough. I wouldn't blame you for it.
I'm gonna say it was self-defense, sir.
Or maybe I'll finish dealing with our dear friend first. In the meantime, tell me what brought you to this wonderful place.
The same as you, I suppose.
Oh, really? And how did you find out about my plans?
I felt it in my heart. I made some conclusions. I mean, you always do. You know what? I just want to be dramatic. I felt it in my heart.
You're an amazing, insightful lady.
Thank you. You pulled yourself together and remarked dryly. By the way, I could have screamed. You are taking a big risk. Looks like you've got Alexander interested. Uh-huh.
Oh no, you're too intelligent and brave for that.
Thank you, I know. You felt silent, bewildered, unsure how to react to that statement. I would have said thank you. Like, thank you for stating the obvious.
There are no guards in the morgue, but constables pass by. It would have been very inconvenient if we got caught here, at least as far as our reputations are concerned.
He stepped back into the shadows behind Mr. Willis and sighed.
Lady Harrington, could you call my assistant? I'm afraid I overestimated my strength and won't be able to carry this handsome man alone. He only looks skinny.
I'm sorry, but are you stealing a corpse?
Borrowing with the intention of returning it.
What you're doing right now does not scream legal. You cannot just take a corpse. He's stealing the corpse from a morgue. People, what does that say about him? Does that say that he's crazy? That he has psychological problems? Or that he's willing to go to extremes in order to get what he wants? I'm gonna go with option C.
You say this coroner is a fool. He's a good friend, so I know his limitations. He claims that Mr. Willis had no reason to die.
What? That's nonsense.
I told him pretty much the same thing.
Alexander tried to grab Mr. Willis' body more firmly, to pull him off the table by his shoulders.
But he flatly refused to let me examine him. We had a little argument, and here I am.
Same as me.
Solidly in the name of science, people don't die for no reason, and their death certainly cannot be explained by supernatural intervention.
Is this a conclusion?
Haven't you looked at the papers that you stole?
Borrowed with the intention of returning them. These two are literally perfect for each other. They're the same. Alexander's eyes sparkled approvingly in the darkness.
He wrote it himself. There are suspicions of intervention by supernatural forces. And this is a man of medicine. Honestly, some people can be trusted with skateboard. Ooh!
Yeah, I wouldn't trust this man to do any sort of examination on the body. I really wouldn't. So you decided that you're smarter than him? That you can simply steal a corpse? Honestly, so you decided that you can simply steal a corpse?
It's not that simple, you know.
Nothing in life is ever simple.
So could you call my assistant?
I can't.
He should have already arrived with the carriage.
You gave Alexander a dirty look and went back to the door. What exactly do you mean by dirty look? Did you give him a dirty look as in you disgust me or you turn me on? What's that dirty look about? I would say it's a bit of both.
I honestly wanted to come back and warn you, but he wouldn't let me.
She stood with her hands folded obediently in front of her. The man standing next to her straightened his back and bowed gallantly when he saw you. Before you could ask a question, the carriage door opened and you saw...
Oh, Lady Harrington, this scoundrel make you go with him too?
Who?
Alexander, of course. Did he talk you into it? Just you wait, brother.
Ooh! Rachel said I'm gonna beat him up. No, ma'am, I came here on my own. Rachel stared at you as though you were a painting by Bosch.
But why?
I'll be happy to explain it later, but right now... He asked me to call his assistant. He looked in confusion at the man standing next to Eve.
Oh, let me introduce you. Mr. November. Elia November, a family friend. Elia, this is Lady Agatha Harrington, daughter of Earl of Harrington.
Ooh! Oh, he looks good. Sorry.
My pleasure, Lady Harrington. It's a beautiful evening, isn't it? And it will be even better once Alexander comes out of there.
Ooh.
The constables could be here any minute. Help him, Elia.
Elia nodded and silently disappeared into the darkness beyond the doorway. You watched him go, then turned to Rachel, who was twisting her fingers nervously. I have so many questions, ma'am. I had in my mind that he was there too.
So do I.
Rachel let out a gasp, clutching her heart. You turned sharply. A short dagger appeared in Eve's hand. Samuel gave the three of you a thoughtful look, then added,
Where are my manners? Good evening, ladies.
Are you... Honestly, the second one would be hilarious. Are you here to pick up Mr. Willis too? Honestly, are you here to pick him up too? Logic!
Two.
Puzzled, he looked around at the three of you, then at the carriage.
I'm here because I wanted to check something.
This, I guess? You showed him the coroner's report that you were still clutching to your chest.
It's hard to say. It's dark in here. That's the coroner's report of Mr. Willis' death, right?
That's right. And Mr. Willis' body is about to be carried out.
Are you stealing a corpse?
Good. I wasn't the only one that had that reaction. All right. You folded your hands on your stomach in a dignified manner, borrowing with the intention of returning it. I love this sentence, honestly. I'm gonna start using that sentence from now on. I'm stealing it with the intention of returning it, so I'm borrowing. Your audacity made you ears burn.
But that's a crime.
Do you think so? Samuel looked at the horses helplessly. Apparently they were the only ones he was not judging.
That's what the laws of your country say. I know, I studied.
At this moment, Alexander and Elia appeared in the doorway with a bundle. Alexander slowed down when he saw Samuel.
It's so nice to see you here, Detective Makoto.
Honestly, I'm weak.
Did you come to arrest us or to get information that your colleagues aren't sharing?
Ooh! Honestly, I love this man. He is so straightforward. He does not care. He does not care. He exchanged glances with Eve.
Good evening to you, Duke Clarence. Have you heard the rumors about my complicated relationship with the local police? The coroner's a good friend of mine. He gave me the gist of it. I see. I assume you won't be getting in our way. In return, I promise to tell you everything I find out about Mr. Will's death. I'm afraid the coroner's report that you came for will disappoint you. You see, he claims that Paul Wills was killed by ghosts.
That's telling us a lot. Alexander raised his eyebrows questioningly and turned to you as much as he could given the circumstances. It means this is an unusual case. Unusual poison, unusual disease, an unusual method of killing. Of course, assuming it's a murder.
A reasonable observation. Say, Samuel, we can't trust amateurs with examining this corpse. The result of my examination might give you different ideas. You're not risking anything. On the contrary, if it's successful, you win. Could you open the carriage door?
Your carriage? To put him in the carriage? You're going to put him in the carriage?
Yeah, he'll look even less appealing on the box seat.
Ooh! Honestly, I love him. I love him.
The constables may want to ask him some questions.
I'm not riding in the carriage with a dead body. Then walk.
I suggest we call another carriage just for him.
After a brief hesitation, Samuel opened the carriage door. The horse is already eyeing Rachel, and the corpse with suspicion began to fidget anxiously.
Come down, what's wrong?
While he panted nervously, throwing the corpse onto the top step of the carriage, you approached the horses. You slipped the papers into your coat pocket and began to caress their muscles. There, it's not that bad. The horses disagreed with you and took turns in trying to break free. Standing in front of the carriage became too dangerous. The horses were getting more nervous by the second. You thought for a moment and climbed onto the box seat, taking the reins in your hands. Lady Harrington, you know how to control them? I grew up in... At that moment, Elia pushed Mr. Will's legs and the body flew into the carriage. There was a wet, unpleasant thud and the horses reared in fright. You grabbed the reins, pulled with all you might, too late. Raising their heads, the horses took off. All you heard was...
Hold tight.
And then everything merged into a frenzied whirlwind. Holy Mary, stop! You pulled on the reins, but the horses went wild. Their hooves were beating against the cobblestones, making sparks fly. You barely held on, almost falling off the carriage. We'll crash! An narrow bridge loomed ahead of the carriage, and you pulled the reins to the left. Oh, only at the last moment did you realize it was a mistake. You crazed animals obeyed you. Approaching the river's edge, they tried to stop, but it was too late. Pushing by the weight of the carriage, they flew into the water. Pulled the reins towards you. The animals went crazy and continued to carry you toward the bridge. The carriage is too wide. You pulled harder and the horses arched their necks toward you. One of them jerked to the side, trying to relieve the pressure of the reins. Then the carriage wheel hit the edge of the bridge. Drop the reins. If I fuss, I'll only make it worse. You held on to the seat with all you might, trying not to fall from the carriage. The horses, gnashing on their bits, charged onto the bridge like two mad arrows. A drunk god at the other end of the bridge yelled something incomprehensible. He barely managed to get out of the way before the hooves would have trampled him. How do I stop you? You desperately regretted every decision you made that night. If I survive, I'll personally strangle that Duke. Me! Where did he get these stupid horses? I'm sorry, this is hilarious. This is so funny. The pavement continued to flash by under the wheels. The rare passers-by ran out of the way. A couple of times the carriage passed some constables. They could only shout and whistle after it, but it didn't help. Where are we? Where are you crazy animals taking me? You looked up. The Tower of London loomed ahead. What sin did I possibly commit for my life to end like this? You looked back at the carriage. The door was slightly ajar and Mr. Will's legs were sticking out of it. It was amazing he hadn't fallen. You hauled in horror and grabbed the reins again. Are you going to stop or not? The walls of the fortress were getting closer and closer. Beacom Tower looming ahead. It was time to do something. You decided to jump. Jumping off the wildly rushing carriage would have been madness. By staying on it and flying into the tower's wall would have been suicide. Between these two, you chose the obvious, gathered your skirts and jumped off the seat. The ground greeted you harshly and very firmly. Lucky for you, you landed on a patch of grass rather than the cobblestones. Oh, you handled the situation almost elegantly. Thank you. You rolled around several times and froze, groaning in pain. You heard shouting and gunshots from where the horses had galloped away. It was the tower guards who had sprung into action at the sight of this strange carriage. You heard the sound of hooves on the bridge behind you. You raised your head, almost certain it was one of the constables that you disturbed.
Can you ride? Get home quickly.
His horse shook its head, trying to escape the pressure of the tight reins. Alexander reached out his hand to you. What are you doing here?
I couldn't leave a lady alone with the carriage.
Is that how things are? Hold up, are you saying we were alone? I thought all of them were inside the carriage. We were alone?
Come on, I'm being chased as well.
You struggled to get up from the ground. Your whole body was aching and your dress was hopelessly ruined. Alexander lifted you onto the saddle, positioning you in front of him. His horse galloped away from the tower. His shoulder was pressed against his chest, and each breath he exhaled was almost touching your neck. How exciting. You know what? Your attitude toward him has become slightly warmer. He leaned forward, pressing himself against you even more.
Don't worry, you're safe with me.
That's a lie. That's a lie. We met 3 times. That's a lie. We've only met twice and you've already got me into trouble. It was 3 times. We met him when the man died in our arms. Then he came to see us in our room. And then we saw him again here now.
And I saved you.
From a problem you created. When the danger of being pursued became less worrying, Alexander asked,
Where should I take you and Miss Skye?
Oh, we live in Hall Place in Bexley.
So far away? I'm afraid a carriage won't get you there until morning.
Weren't planning on going back earlier anyway. Alexander nodded and was silent for the rest of the ride. Almighty God, I thought you were dead. As soon as the horse stopped at the morgue, Rachel rushed to help. Eve also came to help you dismount. You appreciated it. Your whole body ached as if it was you, not Mr. Willis, who had been thrown around the carriage.
Yeah, we have a guest tonight. The ladies need to go to Bexley, but I suggest we take them to us.
Of course. She's injured, poor thing. Elia has already found the carriage. Let's go immediately. That's how you ended up in the home of Duke of Clarence and Rachel, Princess of Wales. Where is the body now? We jumped off the carriage, but the body was inside the carriage. Oh, I like her hair.
I'll have to explain everything to them in the morning.
She was feeling your bones carefully, trying not to cause pain to your bruises. You winced but endured it. We'll have to.
So you'll tell the truth?
I'll tell the truth.
They'll say you're a fool, and then the whole city will talk about it.
They seem like nice people to me. Your attitude toward Rachel and Alexander became a little warmer. I mean, I'm just saying what it is. He is a dick, but he is a good person. Eve shrugged.
I think they liked you. When you rode off in the carriage, the Duke turned as pale as a vampire.
Uh-huh.
He jumped on his horse immediately. I didn't even see it was there. It was behind the morgue. And the princess was wringing her hands and talking about you. She said you'd be hurt. She didn't care about the hired carriage. She was worried about you. I don't get it. Why not just come by car? Why did they use all those horses and carriages?
I think they were afraid of getting caught by the police. A person can be traced by the car. But if a horse runs away, it would be more difficult. Eve sighed heavily and examined your scratched shoulder.
We should get you undressed and take a look at your wounds.
Now? Maybe we should wait for the doctor tomorrow?
It's up to you, my lady.
She bit her lip and stepped back, as she always did when she was annoyed. Eve, do me this favor. You sweetened your voice like honey. You flattered Eve, Who knows my body better than you?
Actually, that's the job of maids, not of companions. It's not my fault that you never let anyone touch you.
What can I say? I'm picky about who touches me. That's my sister with her hair. Eve reached for the chest left by the princess maid. Ooh? She took out a bottle of iodine, some ointment, and bandages.
I'm not Florence Nightingale, but I'll do what I can.
The flame of the candles danced in her eyes as she turned back.
Will you scream?
Possibly. We're in someone else's house. It would be inappropriate. Eve snorted and pulled on the corset ties gently. When it fell, you took a deep breath, tilting your head back.
Looks like the corset was really useful to you.
She waved the damaged corset in front of your nose. Mother will kill me for tearing my dress.
Let's try to make sure she won't notice. You don't wear black that often.
She ran her fingers gently over your hand where a long cut remained.
It will sting.
She soaked a piece of bandage in iodine and applied it to the wound. You hissed in pain.
I thought you were the strongest person in the world.
Your eyes met and in hers you saw tenderness. I'm trying. I'm feeling some tension. I'm feeling some tension here. I'm already starting to play people I cannot. Those weren't the words you wanted to say at all. Not the usual declaration of strength of character, reliability and purpose. Eve's gaze became even softer. You sighed heavily. Nothing needed to be said. She had been there for so long, so firmly entwined in your life. Was there anything she couldn't understand from just one look? But you still said it. I'm afraid for us? She's so moved by the word us.
I thought only your reputation was on the line. I'm just a companion.
But you're our friend. Don't be sarcastic, Eve. You know you'll suffer just as much as me. But honestly, I don't see a simple way out for us. But I want to do this for us, both of us, so that we can continue to live as we did before. Without looking into your eyes, Eve slid her hand along your leg. Ooh! The edge of your shirt lifted, revealing your leg up to your thigh. Eve looked at her hand, at the smooth skin of your leg, and you looked at her. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Okay, so she's a love interest as well. That picture was beautiful. There was a huge bruise on your thigh. It even looked painful. Eve ran her fingers along its edge, frowning, and said,
As I watch your efforts, I want to remember all the old tricks. To become that, well, a woman outside your circle again. At least to be able to stand by your side.
Your heart fluttered. Eve never talked about her past. Almost never. Is that what you want?
To go back to how it was before? No, I'm happy with you. I don't know what would have happened to me if it weren't for you.
She applied iodine to the bruise generously. Then I'll try for both of us. Eve let go of the hem of your shirt, and it slid softly down your legs. She climbed higher onto your bed and hovered over you. She looked into your face, as she had in your half-forgotten childhood memories, and whispered,
Do you promise?
Anything. She nodded seriously and laid down, snuggling up against your side. She hadn't done that in years, not since she stopped having nightmares. People, like, this is such a cute scene. I don't see this as siblings at all, I see this as love. But you hugged her shoulders eagerly, pulling her closer to you.
I'll be by your side.
I know. That's so cute. When the first sunbeam touched your hands, it saw how tightly they were clasped together. How you slept in an embrace, two lost women finding support in each other. That was so cute. In the morning, every inch of your body ached with fierce intensity, as if it had been beaten the day before. In a way, that was partially true. Eve woke up before you and was standing gloomily in front of the wardrobe, fully dressed. Huh?
Good morning to you as well, Lady Harrington. Look what the maid brought.
Dresses?
The princess sent them. So thoughtful and considerate.
You got out from under the covers. The floor made your feet cold. Leader? No, leader. You know I'm a fan of red people. Too logic, okay.
It looks absolutely stunning on you.
And the way it feels, To intuition, okay. You caressed the top of the skirt with pleasure. The Princess of Wales doesn't wear rags, that's obvious. I'm one authority, let's go. Eve walked around you, clicking her tongue in admiration.
That's an understatement. You look just like a princess yourself now.
Today it's alright to play that part.
Such a dress calls for an appropriate hairstyle. I'll call for the maid. Are you hungry yet?
I'm starving. She'd better hurry up. The maid came quickly and got to work immediately. Nah. Love it. While you were pampered by the maid, Eve talked to someone outside the bedroom door. She returned to you and hissed nervously.
Guess what? Princess Alexandra of Wales is here.
His stomach flipped. The wife of Albert Edward, the mother of Alexander and Rachel, and by all calculations the future queen was here. You grabbed your chest. We have to get out of here.
Agatha, there's such an opportunity. You can tell her about your idea. She'll definitely support you.
I'm not going to meet the future queen unprepared. What will I say to her anyway? Hello, your son and I tried to steal a corpse last night. It's nice to meet you.
Yes, that sounds awkward.
We have to escape from this house.
Maybe we can just hide in here.
What is with all this dramaticness? What if Rachel remembers about us and invites us for a tea with Alexandra? Or worse, what if they sit around until evening and forget about us? I'll die of hunger. No, we have to escape. We'll have a note and escape quietly through the... the level of Karen I'm seeing here. Girl, be a woman. Confront your problems like a woman. We'll leave a note and escape quietly through the garden.
I think you're panicking for no reason.
She's also aware that she's acting like a Karen. You brushed her off, quickly scribing a note. Girl, that's it. Ask the maid to take us out through the back door.
We're running away like mistresses from a married man's house.
You gave her a fierce look before slipping out of the room. You had almost crossed the living room when a voice came from the doorway ahead.
Hiding away in this house. You and your brother are driving me crazy. Mother, you know he can't be released into polite society. He dresses and behaves outrageously.
It's them. Let's retreat quietly. And one authority, let's go. It's no use that we run. You picked up your skirts and gracefully turned back into the hallway.
I thought you'd run like crazy.
I mind my manners in someone else's house. The conversation kept going with raised voices. You could hear it even from behind the door.
If your brother had the courage to fulfill his duties, well, try to make him. Stop him from practicing science. Then we'll see how quickly he destroys the reputation of the entire family. How dare you?
Ooh! The voices started to follow you and you had to run much faster. Honestly, I'm living. She can't stand her brother, but she's not going to accept any slander towards him. That's a sibling. You were last in line. The maid was trotting ahead of you, showing the way, and Eve was behind her. So when he grabbed you, no one noticed. A hand covered your mouth and another pulled you off the path toward the trunk of an oak tree. Alexander.
Is she still in the house?
Huh?
Please forgive my manners. Good morning, Lady Harrington. Do you happen to know if my mother has left her happy home yet?
He let you go, but pulled you a little further behind the tree. She's still there arguing with your sister. You decided that that insolent man could manage without her and a good morning.
Amazing. Has my mother gone blind?
I'm sorry, what?
She couldn't have missed you, Lady Harrington. You look like every man's dream.
Thank you.
I'm surprised she hasn't grabbed you and tried to put me in your arms.
Ooh! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That was unintentional. So technically the mother is trying to force him into marriage. Not another arranged marriage. You know I hate those things. You blushed heavily, unsure how to react to that. It's just sister stress.
Really? She never worn it in front of me. But even if she had, she wouldn't wear it as well as you.
Ooh! Should I thank you for the compliment? Oh! Love it. Alexander finds it very pleasing to look at you. Thank you. I know I'm great. I know I'm beautiful.
I never give compliments. I only speak the truth.
Me! I mean, I give compliments, but mostly the fact is that I never lie. I say them straight up, like, I don't mind saying things the way I feel them. A dissatisfied voice came from the open window facing the garden.
I demand that Alexander come here immediately.
Alexander's entire body twitched and he grabbed your hand.
To the laboratory, quickly. We have to hide from her.
I can go by myself. He likes your boldness, thank you. You don't need to drag me by the hand. You raised your head proudly. Alexander broke into a mischievous smile.
They raised you quite strangely in this Elveston of yours.
I am a strong and independent woman, sir. I don't need you.
Follow me and stay out of sight of the windows.
The laboratory was located in a small cottage in the far corner of the garden. As you went in, you felt a pang of guilt. Eve will go crazy with worry when she realizes that I'm nowhere to be found. But curiosity got the best of you. You entered Alexander's holy of holes. Holy of holies! This is amazing!
Do you think so?
It's just incredible. Did you do all of this yourself?
Only what could be done by hand. The rest was ordered from various factories.
He surveyed the room with pride.
The shrine of science, but women usually aren't interested in such things.
You're wrong. It's just that it's considered improper for women to be interested in science.
So you're not afraid to be improper?
No, sir, I'm the definition of improper. Let me stop. I'm the definition of shameless, sir. It's fine for me. You and I almost stole a corpse yesterday. Do you think I could sink any lower? Alexander laughed, leading you further into the room.
However, the same could be said of me. At least you were interested in finding answers from the start, but I was eager to find the source of the problem.
You approached the largest mirror on the wall. You made a questioning gesture with your hand, seeking an explanation. Alexander's eyes sparkled with amusement.
Try to guess what they're for.
I don't think they're here for you to admire yourself. Are you studying light? Studying mirrors, coming up with a new experiment. Okay. I don't think he's studying light. Are you studying mirrors? Sounds stupid, though. Are you coming up with a new experiment?
What made you think that?
And why did I get intuition? Just a guess, but is it true?
I hope so. You're so wonderful too, old Lady Carrington.
So it's true?
With the help you can do a lot.
So it was true? He began to adjust the mirrors attached to the wall to the tool stands. He has many mirrors. Oh my god, you stood there watching him with some suspicion. He came closer and stood behind you. What are you doing, sir? He reached out and clicked some kind of switch. The sun flashed in the air 2 feet from your face. You gasped in surprise and jumped back. Alexander caught you by your shoulders, preventing you from knocking over the mirror that was behind you.
Careful, Lady Harrington.
That's the sun.
It's an illusion. A little trick.
He spoke quietly as if afraid of disturbing the peace of the newly created star.
Mirrors hold many mysterious and just as much beauty.
His fingers warmed your shoulders through the fabric of your dress. He smelled of something fresh, woody. You caught yourself inhaling deeply to better recognize the scent. It's astonishing. That's a beautiful view. It looks like real magic, I must admit.
Although I know how it works, it's like magic to me too.
There was undisguised joy in his voice. He is so cute. You felt the pleasure flowing through him, the happiness he got from being in that place.
You like mysterious too, don't you, Lady Harrington?
Can you ask that in a less pleasant tone? I do. He smiled as he breathed out, and the warmth of his breath burned your neck. He stepped aside and reached out, pushing one of the mirrors away. The sun disappeared. The illusion crumbled to dust. Now there was just a pile of mirrors reflecting the light of the lamp in front of you. Alexander began returning the mirrors to their original positions, while you sat on a chair by the laboratory table. Do you work here alone?
Unfortunately, I haven't found any interesting like-minded person.
How about me?
But one day, I believe that one day it will happen.
There was a knock on the door. You jumped out of your chair.
God, if Rachel has told her mother where I'm hiding.
He stomped to the door and opened it wide. Rachel, Eve, and the maid stood on the threshold. Eve gave you such a look that you almost fell over on the spot. Rachel looked at her brother the same way. She's gone.
Oh, blessed news. What did you tell her?
That you drowned yourself in the Thames. Ooh! Alexander glanced at you and cleared his throat.
Maybe we should invite our guests for some tea, my dear.
Tea? Lady Harrington and Miss Guy haven't eaten anything since yesterday, and you're keeping her here with your... She looked around the room with wide eyes.
Lady Harrington, do me a favor and join us for breakfast. Otherwise my dear sister will eat me alive and not even wash it down with the tea.
With great pleasure, sir. Ma'am? You had to return to the house. I cannot. Breakfast passed by with casual conversation. The real conversation started in the drawing room over tea, and only when 2 more guests joined you.
I'm not quite sure what you're getting at, sir. I suggested this future we get rid of formalities. After what we've been through, there is no need for them. Alright, Alexander, what are you getting at?
Elia. He is so fine.
He's trying to say that the case isn't over yet. For me, of course, but for you have nothing to do with the investigation.
I'm willing to argue about this. They looked at you, you looked at Eve, she looked up at the ceiling.
So, Agatha, are you ready to tell us the true reasons for your interest in Mr. Willis?
You know how to put your cup aside and prepare yourself. I want to open my own detective agency. You were at least expecting thunder splitting the sky in half. Instead, everyone sat there with calm and curious faces. Only Rachel raised her eyebrows in surprise.
But a woman from a noble family working in such a place.
She waved her hand vaguely in the air. I know it will be difficult. I can't take these limitations, and I feel I'm capable.
But society will judge you.
And not approvingly.
That's very brave, but why detective agency?
I know a lot about this job, probably more than any other. You prefer to remain silent about the other reasons, at least for now. Alexander and Elia exchanged glances.
Your father's Charles, Earl of Harrington, but he's...
Yes, he has nothing to do with the police or detective work. But he's a passionate admirer of Vidocq. Have you heard of him?
Eugene Franken Vidocq, the great criminal and trickster.
Yes, he was a very skilled detective. He corresponded with my father for many years. My father admired his intelligence, bravery, and resourcefulness. I read all their letters thoroughly, and all the books that Vike recommended.
Wasn't he the one who said, only criminal can fight crime?
Yes.
We witnessed it yesterday. Agatha is the true master of this art.
But what about you?
It's all in the name of science.
He says I'm into science, bitch. Just let me be.
That shouldn't be a mystery to us.
The real mystery is why it hasn't caught up with your miserable head yet. Ooh!
I'm destined for great things. Anyway, our cards are on the table. Sam, it's your turn.
Samuel raised his eyebrows and was about to protest, but remained silent.
I'm investigating a matter of national importance on behalf of His Imperial Majesty. It's related to the abduction and smuggling of some of his subjects out of Japan. I can't say any more in the interest of safety of the case.
Everyone fell silent, digesting the information.
Curious. That's why you're interested in Mr. Wood's death. He seems harmless, but something in his history doesn't add up.
What exactly? Samuel shrugged and took a tiny sip of tea. It seemed like he wasn't going to share more information. And what about you, Elia? Elia enjoys your attention. He has my attention. He really does.
I'm just an ordinary friend and assistant to Alexander. I'll be happy if I can be of use. Elia's being modest. In fact, he has many connections and skills. My service in Her Majesty's forces has taught me a lot.
You smiled at Elia, deciding not to draw any definite conclusion about him for now.
Haven't you lost the party? What's the point of fussing now?
Everyone stared at Eve. Alexander sighed heavily.
She's right. We need to approach this mystery from a different angle.
We need to talk to his widow. Perhaps she knows something about his death that could be useful to us. Samuel nodded approvingly. You caught yourself mentally trying the name Sam on him. It sounded intriguing, intimate.
Rachel, do you know who she is?
If you're talking about the club, then no. My establishment is not on her social level. You exchanged a glance with Eve. Rachel's exclusive women's club was not even of your level, let alone the wife of a merchant.
We need to find out, and then...
Her name is Dora Willis. She lives in a house in the East Dulwich. It seems her mother was a fan of Charles Dickens. Alexander nodded, looking at Eve thoughtfully.
How do you know?
I have my ways, sir.
I said no formalities.
He waved his hand irritably. Eve glanced at you. You nodded.
All right, Alexander. I found out about the Earl's ball. I chatted with the servants. They all know a lot. Mr. Wells was a frequent visitor to their house. Did you find the exact location? Only roughly. It would have been suspicious if I asked too many questions. You have an amazing assistant, Agatha.
It's true. You glanced proudly at Eve. She straightened her shoulders slightly.
So it's decided. We're going to the East Dulwich
tomorrow. You gave the whole company a pleading look. Because if I don't go home today, my mother will go crazy with worry. Alexander and Sam exchange a long look. Understand that this is important to you, Alexander. Alexander's pleased that you addressed him, but the case will still be here tomorrow, and you tried to come up with more arguments, but then Rachel came to your aid. And you're expected at Marlborough House.
I'd rather eat a walrus than go there.
Oh my god, sir! Mother said she won't pay for the upgrades to your laboratory. The range of emotions on Alexander's face defied description. You were admiring another change from anger to despair when you finally saw resignation.
Well, tomorrow.
Then it's settled. We'll meet just outside East Dulwich at noon tomorrow. It took you almost the entire day to explain the reason for your absence to your mother, and the evening was spent tending to your cuts and bruises. The next day, you and Eve got into a carriage at an unearthly hour to arrive on time. We should have found a car. We can't afford a car right now. We have to wait for our monthly allowance. Eve sighed heavily, then realized something.
Your glove. You've forgotten them.
Oh, these are my mother's.
Oh, really? I took them by mistake.
Eve, did you take her gloves because she called me stupid?
No one can offend my loved ones without consequences.
I love her. You shook your head reproachful, but put the gloves on. I love her. She's like, no one says anything bad about my loved ones without them having consequences. She has to feel the pain. The trip was long. At some point you dozed off. I cannot with Eve. You were woken up by Eve's short shriek. What's wrong?
Read this.
What? Is Earl Thomas Cornwallis the ruler of the ghost world? Murder at the ball. The story was previously reported about Oscar Willis has taken a dramatic turn. The body disappeared from the morgue. Witness talk of a demonic carriage. Yeah, because of those damn horses. The ghost of a maiden in black on the box seat. The body appeared at the doors of St. Peter's Chapel. Earl Cornwallis has long been known for his love of all things supernatural. What is this nonsense? What ghost? What are they talking about?
Looks like you made an impression on the resident with your appearance. The carriage almost crashed into the cable where Anne Boleyn is buried. Agatha, they think that the ghost of Annie Boleyn killed him, and that the Earl set her on poor Mr. Wells.
You stared at Eve blankly, unable to believe what you heard. No one will believe this. This is ridiculous.
The Times also published a short note.
You groaned and hid your face in your hands. But I meant well.
Yes, and now he's stuck with a reputation for murder, and his weapons are ghosts. Pretty pathetic weapons, I must say.
It's alright. We'll fix everything. We're on our way to investigate the case after all. I'll sort it out. Eve looked at you skeptically, but remained silent. You rode in silence for a long time. You were thinking. Then the carriage stopped. Eve was immediately alert.
Are we there yet?
Not yet.
Good morning, ladies. Do you mind a company?
No, I do not. He appeared at the carriage window, shining like a polished coin. You breathed a sigh of relief. Eve frowned in displeasure. Good morning. Hour?
To join this event. He originally planned to fake a robbery, but I was against it. Hello, Agatha, Eve.
You both nodded in greeting, and the man climbed into the carriage. The seat next to you was filled by Alexander, Samuel, Eve, a sense of pride. Alexander, sit next to me. He's pleased that you allowed him to sit next to you. Sit next to me, sir. Sit next to me. Long time no see. We're not as close as we used to. I cannot. I'm so sorry. Alexander asked for permission to sit beside you with surprising politeness. You allowed him. Eve shook her head either in disapproval or indignation. I don't care. I don't care. You chose not to look at her. Oh, there's some tension. There is some tension between the two lovers. You guys know I love to create drama. I am not even sorry. I am in love with Alexander, though. I love his personality. It's so similar to mine.
So does anyone have a plan?
I do. Where are Rachel and Elia? Ooh! She said I'm not happy with you two just yet. Where are the other two?
They had to tend to family matters. Thank God for my sister. Without her, these matters would have been my duty. Your sense of responsibility is astonishing.
Alexander pretended not to hear her.
So what's the plan?
I suggest we split up and check out 2 places.
Really? Which one?
First, I suggest we go... Path of Intuition. An hour later, why did we go to a church? At the church not far from the widow's house.
I don't understand how that's supposed to help.
Good, sir. So you are just like me. I'm confused as well. Just trust my intuition. Girl, I'm all for trusting your intuition, but intuition also comes from experience. Why are we in a damn church? While Alexander grumbled under his breath, he sat on the last bench next to a small woman. Why are we in a church? He waited until she noticed you and smiled politely. Excuse me, could you tell me where I can find the pastor?
He's not in church right now, unfortunately. Maybe I can help.
I wanted to ask about Mr. Willis, ask about Dora. Help the church. I have the feeling that this is one of these trick questions. One of these trick questions where you're like, yeah, I want to ask about Mr. Willis. You were too straightforward. I want to help the church, you know. I heard that the local pastor does a lot for his congregation. We need people like him in the church.
We?
It's a secret and I wouldn't want to. The woman's face reflected curiosity and disappointment. Though I see that I can trust you. My name is Agatha. And yours?
Mary Morgan.
Okay, you managed to gain Mary's trust, didn't I say that? Mary, our secret society, Lily's Petals, wants the parishioners of every church to live in paradise. We put a lot of efforts into this, and your pastor has caught our attention. Especially his kindness toward the wife of that poor man who passed away recently. This was a shot in the dark, and you tensed inwardly expecting to be exposed. Instead, the woman threw her hands up.
Oh yes, that's right, how true. Dora is suffering so much after her husband's death, and the pastor is really helping her.
He died so unexpectedly, it's such a tragedy.
Well, he was involved with such strange characters, you know. I've been expecting something like this for a long time. I always told Dora not to let him attend those synons, and this is the result.
Do you think the Seans and ghosts are to blame?
Haven't you heard the morning papers yet?
I have, but it's foolish.
No, you don't understand. He really was killed by a ghost. And he's not the first, oh no. This ghost has killed many times before.
You felt a chill run down your spine. What?
I cannot with anything that's going on.
There's actually a ghost that's killing people? Nah, you all know I'm here for this. I'm intrigued to know if we can finally get a picture with Elia, because I got a picture with Rachel, Alexander, Samuel, and Eve. Do not tempt me. You do not tempt me. So that was it for today. I love the story so far. I hope you do too. Tell me in the comments below what you like, and I will see you in another video. Bye.